Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining NCEES Do You Know Tips 2223. So we will be going through different tips in NCEES today. I did put a link to our slides in the chat, and some of you may have gotten that in a welcome message when you joined, unless you joined early. So the link to our slides is in the chat. All right, so we'll move forward. We are recording today. And we are in WebEx meetings. So if you want to chat a question, look for the little talk bubble to open your chat and put your questions in. Please do put those to everyone unless it's a private question. Other people may have the same question you do. We will create a frequently asked questions document when we post the recording as well. You are welcome to unmute. I do not have a facilitator for questions today, so I will be checking the chat. But if I've skipped over a question, please feel free to unmute and ask your question. You can turn on closed captions if that is needed in your menu bar. It should be the blue circle and the closed captions button to show closed captions. All right, does anybody need slides or anything before we get started? I'll go ahead and introduce myself. If you have any questions, do put those in the chat. I am Cami Nairn. I work with NCDPI on the Digital Teaching and Learning Home-Based team, and I manage the NCEES evaluation system. And so that's why we're going to do NCEES Do You Know tips. Miss Jennifer Bass is on vacation today. She is our NCEES coordinator, and she handles everything with standards and evaluations and policy questions regarding NCEES. I handle the system questions in NCEES. So here's a quick look at our agenda today. We won't read through all that, but we'll go ahead and get started since we only have an hour. I do want to show you some slides, but then we'll probably jump to the live side to show you the steps for these things. So the first thing we're going to look at is staff evaluations. And I forgot to mention this webinar is geared toward district and site administrators in NCEES. If you are a teacher or support staff, you're welcome to stay and watch, and you are still welcome to request a certificate with the feedback survey at the end. So we're going to look at using pinning a list of staff over in staff evaluations. I did want to show you the slides that they are tabbed for the different areas that we're going to cover. They have recordings of each step that we're actually going to do live, so you can refer back to those. We give you a list of ideas for using the pinning a list of staff, like you may want to pin a list of beginning teachers and just work with those plans on the staff evaluations page, or maybe your residency teachers, or maybe just staff on the abbreviated blend type. Staff do have both evaluation and PDP plans on the staff evaluations page, and pinning a staff, when we walk through the steps, we'll actually pin all their plan types. I did also want to let you know that, somebody have a question? Are we good? Okay. That here we do include screenshots on our slides as well. So let's go take a look at this. All right, I have assumed a training principal staff account, so we can look at what it looks like for a principal. Steps will be the same for district administrators. We're going to navigate to the staff evaluations page. All right, and the staff are listed down below. Any active plans that staff have started show up in the evaluation participation dashboard. And I'll zoom in a little bit because we're going to focus on the pin right now. In the owner name column, you're going to see people's names. Now, again, these are training accounts that I'm showing. So our training accounts do have several plans that we use over the summer to test out the plans. So you'll see that they have more than 2 plans. So if you look in the owner name column, there is a list of pins right above their names. So there's pins here. So what we can use those for, they're actually left over from a previous item that we had in the system. You can pin a group and you can pin one group at a time. You can't pin multiple groups. So like you can't have a beginning teacher group and a lateral entry group. So you have to do one at a time. So maybe I want to pin this staff here. Oh, I accidentally click. Don't do that. Click on the pin, not their name. Let me come back here. All right, so click on the pin and notice that every plan that is in here will then get pinned. So now I'm working with these teachers on these plans. So it's only one teacher. So I'm going to select a couple more. I've selected 2, and let's do one more. So now I have 3 teachers selected. I actually have 16 staff in this group that I can look at. Now, how do I just work with these plans? Once I've got my pin, I come up here to this little green pin, and it says Show My List. So I'm going to click on Show My List. All right, so now I am only seeing the staff that are pinned. Oh, my mouse does not want to hold today. There we go. Only seeing my staff that are pinned. So 16 results. Notice I don't have the over 40 that I had a while ago. So why do I want to use this? Maybe I'm working in the same area or same activity on certain plan types. And so I can just use this page now to only work with this group of staff. Maybe I have some beginning teacher activities that maybe I need to check that the mentors have signed something. So I just pin a group and go work with that group. If I want to go back to see all my staff, the pin has now turned blue at the top of the page, and I click Show All. And it goes back to showing all my staff. Now, if I do want to pick a different group, I do have to unpin, and I'm sorry, I don't have a fast unpin. You do have to go back through and unpin the staff to then create a new group. And that's how to pin a staff group and work with them on the staff evaluations page. We're going to stay on the staff evaluations page because our next tip is how to email and message staff from the staff evaluations page. If you have access to staff on this page, and there are these empty squares over here, well, what are they for? We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And this button here says Message All. So I don't have to worry about the box. If I want to message everybody on this page, then I'm going to click Message All. So here I can put in my subject. So I put in a subject. It's going to show me who I am sending this message to, or that I'm sending it to 3 users. I can send myself a copy. The only thing this doesn't do is tell me who I've copied the message, who I've sent the message to. So it's not going to show you a list of the 3 users. It's just going to send you a copy of the email that you sent to the 3 users. You can also send a copy of the email to other people in NCEES. Just search for their name. And now I've got everybody named Seth, and so I can add who I want to add right here. And I'm gonna, I think it has, oh, I just close it out, and there they are. You can delete it by clicking the X if you've added the wrong person. So now I have to make a decision. Do I want to send this just to people's emails or to an announcement? If you've not ever noticed the envelope icon at the top of the NCEES page, that is where announcements go. So if I wanted it to show in NCEES, I'm going to click announcement. I probably do want to pick an end date so it doesn't stay out there forever. So I'm going to pick September 16th to end my announcement. Email, I could do both. I can send it to email and an announcement. So the emails do have to be correct in NCEES. They feed in from PowerSchool SIS, staff evaluation page, or they feed in from HR data that the district send to NCDPI. NCEES is all source system based. We cannot update emails in NCEES. That has to be updated in the SIS system or in the HR data system. So then we're going to type in your message. And just send. So now I've sent a message to everybody on this list. So what if I came out here? Can I do something different? Can I filter the page maybe? Let me add a filter. Let me, we're going to look and see the active plan, professional development maybe. Let's equal to professional development plan. I'm going to update my table. I'm going to add one more filter, and I'm going to say PDP self-assessment is not equal to complete, because I want to email everybody that needs to finish their self-assessment. So I don't need to see the people that have been completed, and I will update my table. And hopefully I have somebody down there. Yes. So now I have one person here. Now, since I have one, I could use the message all, but I wanted to show you what the box is for. So we're going to click their box. And now this message button has become active. And so I just do the same thing. Put in a subject and send me a copy if I wanted to. I don't have to. And maybe I'll just send an email this time. And I'll say, please complete your self-assessment. And click send. And that's how you use the message button on the staff evaluations page. Any question about that? Okay. So then let's look at, and I think let me check my slides real quick. I've got my agenda. I need to fix my agenda. So we did pin a list of staff, emails and messages. Oh, didn't mean to start that. And so let's go to the member filter shortcut. So I'm going to go back here. And I'm actually going to stop impersonating a minute because I wanted to show the DAs something. It's also good for anybody accessing staff evaluation plan and you're working on a similar type of plan. So I'm back on the staff evaluations dashboard. I do want to add a filter and I want to work with principal plans again. So I'm going to do active plan equals the principal. And we're going to update my table. And now I have my principal plans, staff with principal plans. So I can open the plan type and I'm going to be working in the plan type. Maybe I'm checking to see that everybody's orientation is done, or if I'm a district administrator, I can go to this tab and set access rights because I have to set the evaluator of the principal from this page. So that is done using the new user button and adding somebody to be an evaluator. So what if I've got that set and I need to set the other head principals, need to set their evaluators? Should I go back to staff evaluations and go around and do the full circle again? I do not have to. Over here, under where it says evaluation for teacher 1, there is this little group icon. It's called the member filter. So remember, we're on the principal plan. I'm going to click the member filter. And now I've got everybody that has a principal plan. So instead of going out and back in, I can just click to the next staff. Or if I have a very long list, I can search for another staff. Let's see if we have a teacher 8. Nope, we don't. So we're going to do teacher 4. I think this maybe just go up to teacher 3. There we go. So there's teacher 3. in the different locations that I have access to. So I can just click the next one that I want to either set access rights for, or I can work on like checking orientation. So this one doesn't have it done. So that's using the group member filter to easily navigate to the next person on a same plan type. All right. So we're going to move on to the evaluation completion report. So let's navigate back to staff evaluations. This is a good report because remember on this page, we're only seeing active reports, but the evaluation completion report is also going to show me who's been assigned a plan but hasn't started it. So I'm going to go to this reporting menu. Let me make that a little bigger for you. It's a little graph icon in the corner here. So I'm going to click on that. Actually, the only report that really works out here is that evaluation completion report. We're working with PowerSchool on getting some of these heat maps to work, but right now they are not reliable. So the evaluation completion report is very reliable, and I highly recommend you run the evaluation completion reports. Oh, I'm going to go out and come back in just a minute. I need to assume the identity of somebody. If I run for the state, it will get stuck. So because we have thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. So let me assume identity of a principal maybe. So DAs, if you've never assumed identity before, you do have that right, unless you are a superintendent, because superintendents are view-only access unless we've assigned back the ability to assume identity. Two places to assume identity. One is the little head and shoulders icon, and the other is to click into the profile, and there's a button at the bottom called Assume Identity. Just remember that when you are assuming identity, you are that person. All right, so now we're going to go to staff evaluations and find that evaluation completion report. It was under the graph icon, evaluation completion. I'm going to choose a plan right here. Let's try comprehensive. It's going to spin and it's going to tell me that it's going to try to print all these activities. Oh, you know what? I used this earlier today. So when you first go in here, all these activities will be checked. So let me, it will look like this. It will look like everything was selected. And if you scroll down, your information is below. It's showing me I have 3 people on the comprehensive plan, how many people are in progress, and then how many people are complete. I haven't refreshed the data in this table because I just want to show you how to undo these checks and then select what you want to show in the report. So I'm just interested in the first activities in the plan today through observation 1. So I'm just going to click the first few steps. Later on in the year, as we get towards the end of the year, you may just want to click the locking activities, because once locking activities are done, that means all the required steps are in and the signatures are in, even on optional plans, because when you look at optional peer observations or optional additional observations, those don't always clearly show that they're complete because they're optional. But they will show complete if they're locked. So that's why I like the lock observation activities here. So now I've checked all the observation 1, training and orientation. I want to see in my data below, I need to refresh now. Give it a minute to refresh. All right, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so you guys can see, hopefully. I want to zoom out. There we go. All right, so again, you may have to scroll on the window to see your information. We have 3 in progress. I can expand in several areas on this report. There's a plus sign here. And now it's expanded to the data below, the training and orientation, observation 1. So, I'm sorry, I have to scroll here. And now I can go through each of those activities and see what activity people are stuck on or have completed. Looks like everybody's completed training and orientation. The pre-observation conference has been done by their evaluator. However, I only have 1 complete that the teacher has acknowledged and 2 that are still in progress. So now I can quickly see where everybody is at. This also comes as downloadable data, and there is a very pretty report below this. So I'm going to close that back up. And if you scroll down below, I'm going to make this a little wider. Now here is a report that can actually be downloaded to CSV file and open in Excel and manipulated. It doesn't download these pretty colors, but it will download the progress. Now I told you it would show you if staff had not started their plan. That is in this overall status column. It would say not started. Currently all 3 of these teachers are in progress, but the whole plan is not complete yet. And again, here I can see that these have completed training and orientation, and the pre-observation conference evaluator signature is in, but these others are still in progress on certain activities. So remember, you can download that to a CSV. There's also a printable PDF report at the very top of the page, at the very far right. And it is really tiny right here. You can download it to a PDF. So again, you can run all the different plan types out here, select what you want to show, and then save those reports throughout the year. All right, any questions about evaluation completion report? Okay, the other report that's out here that you might like a tip for is this download CSV. Now download CSV reports on what is showing in your dashboard. So let me zoom out. So it will report on all the headings and the teacher names and the plan types. Maybe I just want to report of, and here's where I can use my filters again, the active plan is equal to, maybe I need to check my beginning teachers or all staff on a comprehensive plan. I know they all may not be beginning teachers, but a majority of these will be beginning teachers. Now, maybe I also want to know who has completed through, let's do, who has observation 1 complete. So not equal to completed. I want to see who is not complete yet with observation 1. Update the table. And now I have a list of staff that have not completed observation 1. Now when I download CSV, it's only going to download what is on the dashboard. The evaluation report, completion report runs on everybody. The download CSV prints what is on the dashboard. Now, if you are a large district and have more than 5,000 folks on this dashboard, you will want to use these filters and narrow it down. Download CSV will hold about 5,000 accounts. So think about that before you use download CSV if you are in a large district. All right, any questions about the download CSV on the staff dashboards? Good. All right, I am going to stop impersonating. The next step was reopening activities. How do I do that? So people have completed staff evaluations, activities. Let's see if I can find one that I can reopen. I'll zoom in just a minute to show you a few icons. So we're looking at the staff dashboard, and I hope you can see right here on this PDP, I have an activity, the initial review. It has a blue circle with a lock on it. So that tells me that an activity has been reopened, but the whole container is still locked because I see a lock here. The next one over has the activity reopened. These next two have it reopened. Let me see if I have any others. Sometimes it will show a green check with a lock. And that means, I don't know if I have any like that. Here's one. So a green check with a lock means the activity is fully complete. And maybe somebody needs to edit this activity. So when I come out here, maybe I need to reopen it. District administrators have the right to reopen unless you're a superintendent, or if that superintendent has that right added back, they can do this too. Administrators also have the ability to give other folks reopen rights. Just remember that they can come out here and they can access just who you've assigned them to. So it's not automatically given to everybody unless you've done that on the My Staff page. So you can actually go in, open a plan by their name, or you can go to the activity in question. So this is a rubric, so I guess I don't want that. Let me come back. I could want that. I could reopen that. That was the summary evaluation probably. All right, this is a good one. So let me zoom in. Notice how all of these activities have these little tiny locks on them. And that is because the very final activity the evaluator does is to lock the whole container. So when you lock this bottom activity, it blocks every one of these other activities. So even if I needed to come out here and maybe edit the summary evaluation conference or the summary evaluation form, there is a reopen icon over here. But if I just reopen it, the lock still remains. So there are actually two steps if the container is locked. The first thing you need to do is unlock the whole container. And there's two different areas to do this. We're going to click in here first to show you what the button looks like. So if you've clicked in here, notice you have a reopen activity button. So I could click that to reopen it, but I want to show you the other area to unlock. You can do it before even clicking in. Over here on the far right is an open lock. And to me, it's kind of backwards. I think it should be showing closed lock, but it's actually the lock to unlock the activity. It's saying, I'm unlock me. So I'm going to click that. It gives me, are you sure you would like to apply the unlock? I'm going to say, okay. And now it tells me what all activities are unlocked in this container. It's going to spin and refresh. And now all the little locks are gone. Maybe the evaluator needs to edit something on the summary evaluations form. Now I can reopen it so that they can get into it. It's very easy to overlook those little locks and reopen the activity, and then your principal will say, but I can't do anything. I see it's reopened, but I can't get in. It's going to be because those locks are still there. If you have no locks, then yes, definitely use the reopen icon to reopen the activity. Notice that it put an orange circle that tells you this is now reopened. So those are the steps for unlocking and reopening plans. All right. I'm going to go be a teacher now because we're going to look at when staff, like a counselor or ITF, when they open their self-assessment and the rubric says teacher, when it should say counselor, we get a lot of tickets around this time of year for the wrong rubric is showing in the plan. And that could happen for any number of reasons. Either the teacher started the PDP before the actual plan type was set, or there was just a glitch in the processing and the timing of when the plan type was set. It's very easy to correct the self-assessment without deleting the whole plan. So let's see if we can find a teacher that we can work with. Let's try this one. And I'm going to assume identity. Now the steps are the same whether the rubric is wrong in the observation or whether the rubric is wrong in the self-assessment, but it's different people that can do these next steps. So the teacher or the counselor would come to my evaluation and they would open their evaluation. Oh, let's do the PDP plan. That'd be a better example because the self-assessment is in the PDP. All right, professional development plan. We're going to open that up. Here's the self-assessment. I don't know if we can do this or not because it's locked. I don't know if we'll see it. Nope. Let me come back. I picked the wrong person. All right, let's try. I need to find somebody that doesn't have their step done yet. Let me do a quick filter. I do love filters. Active plan is equal to professional development. Update my table. All right, let's try this teacher. They've not done their self-assessment. All right, so we're going to come in here. We're going to pretend that we logged in as a counselor. And now I've opened this and it shows me that the rubric standards are teacher-based, not counselor-based. So the way to correct this for the staff is to start the rubric. And I'm going to click Save and Exit. And now notice that I'm in progress with my rubric. It still says teachers. I want it to say counselors. What I need to do is check with my principal before I do this next step. The principal can look on my staff and make sure I do have a counselor plan assigned and that counselor plan has been processed at least one overnight. If it's correct on the My Staff page, he will then advise me to go ahead and do my next step. So my next step is to come under the menu and click delete. I've not done anything. I have not tallied anything in here. If I had gone through and checked all my boxes, tally boxes, I could print this out first before I delete it because when it repopulates, it will be blank. So I want to delete. I'll say OK. Now it's not going to change the counselor because these are test accounts. But believe me, as long as that My Staff page is correct, the new rubric will show counselor down here. But again, you had to start new, save it, then come under the menu and delete it after their principal has verified that the plans are correct on the My Staff page. So that's how a teacher would delete this. Now, an observer or an evaluator may look at an evaluation on staff evaluations, and they may be looking at the observation in an evaluation plan. So maybe over here, let's look at this teacher. And again, we're going to say, and I did notice that this staff was assigned a counselor plan, so, but I don't know if the observation, will have counselor rubric in it. It may not have processed overnight. So again, here's one that's in progress. No tally marks are done. Whoever starts the rubric is the one that can delete it. So the teacher or the counselor can delete it in the PDP. The observer or the evaluator can delete a rubric in the evaluation observation. So again, we would click delete and say OK. And now it's all over, starts new. If the plan type was set correctly on the My Staff page, this would now say counselors. All right, so that's how to not delete the whole plan, but fix the rubric to show correctly. Any questions about that? All right, one more tip on the staff evaluations page. Sometimes you come out here and you're looking for a name and it's just not showing up here. And you're like, well, have they put the staff in the system? Are the staff in the system? Where are they at? Why don't I see their name on this page? Well, the first question you're going to ask is this note at the top of the page is only started active plans show on this dashboard. So that immediately tells me maybe the staff hasn't started their plan. Before we go and check that, we actually check that on the My Staff page. Before we go and check that, I'm going to scroll down here to show you right here, this last column, this middle column right here, rubric from My Staff. So right here, I can see that on the My Staff page, this staff has been assigned a standard plan, but they have an active comprehensive plan. That tells me something's not right. Either this on the My Staff page is not set correctly, or this staff was assigned a comprehensive plan. They started it. We figured it out that they needed a standard plan, but this staff has not started the standard plan because I see the comprehensive plan active and not the standard plan. So we can always check on the My Staff page what process everybody's in as far as actively starting their plans. So that's one area you can check. Now, to do this, a site administrator or a district administrator can check My Staff to see if why staff are missing from the staff evaluations page. So we're going to navigate to My Staff. And let's try. All right, so we're on the staff evaluations page. It actually goes to the staff details page. And on this staff details page, I can see that I've set plan types. Here's probably the teacher I was looking at a while ago. I can, on the staff details page, look at people's profiles, and we'll look at that in just a minute. I actually want to see if they've started their plan. So I'm going to click on all staff. Again, that was under options, and I clicked on all staff. Now, anybody I have access to or that has started their plan, I'll see a drop down here. This also shows me if they've not started their plan. These all say edit, so that tells me all these plans have been started. If I have a good example on here, I do have a screenshot on the slide. If you see the word start here, that means they have not started their plan. It looks like I've maybe started all of these plans. Oh, there's one. So right here, a late hire evaluation plan was assigned and it has not been started. So now on this page also, I can email the staff as long as they have a good email. Notice this one has a no reply email. That means the email probably didn't come in from the SIS system or the HR data system. So we would need to check on why. Either the district needs to correct the source system for the emails, or we need to find out why they're not in the person import file and they didn't get an update. So notice here, I can click on these plans to access them. So I don't always have to go to staff evaluations to access a plan. I can stay in my staff, click on all staff, and get to people's plans. So if I click here, if I were to click on this one that says start, it actually puts it in a start status. But I still need to let my staff know that they need to do their first steps, the self-assessment and the orientation in their plans. So again, on all staff, I can email staff from here and I can see the start status of their plans. This is also good when I've changed a plan type and they've already started the other plan type like this one. Now, if they start the plan, that last one, the late hire, if they were late hire and they have these other plans, they can start their new plan and then transfer the data from the already started plan into the new plan. And then the district administrator can archive or delete the unnecessary plan. Okay, so that's staff evaluations. The other thing I can do on this page is you guys see these first three options up here. Staff details. Let's click on that next. It's the same as clicking on my staff. It takes you to the staff details page. You can set plan types here. Make sure you set them both at the same time because that informs the rubrics that show in the standards. You can access profiles out here. If you are a DA, you have rights to edit this page. It'll probably look a little different. I think the edit will show in the bottom left for the district administrator. You won't have as many editable fields as you see that I have, but you can edit like account active status. I suggest not editing much because the person import file that runs every night overwrites most things. So out there, if I'm trying to inactivate staff, I just check them to see if if this name should not have been in my staff list. I can set it inactive and then I can save that. And if the name shows back up tomorrow, then I know that I need to contact HR to inactivate the staff in Staff UID. So this is just a different area where you can go and DAs can edit that user profile to help with removing staff from this list that shouldn't be here. So yes, you have a question?
Can you repeat that part about removing the staff member?
Yeah, so if this was a staff that should not be in this list, a DA can go into the user profile. You don't have to do this. You can check with HR first, but this is a way to test to see if they are inactive, because sometimes they're improperly inactivated in UID, but they're no longer in the person import file. And if they're no longer in the person import file, then when I set this staff to inactive and I save it, then tomorrow when I come back out here, that staff should no longer be showing in the system.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, if I set them to inactive and they show back up, that means UID, staff UID or CEDARS is what a lot of folks call it, still has that staff active for this location. And so HR would need to fix it. Payroll would need to fix it. Okay? You're welcome.
So
All
I
right.
have a quick question.
Sure.
So if in my system there's staff members don't work for us anymore, HR is
Yes.
supposed to eliminate those or delete those inactive
Yes.
people?
Yes. And
Okay.
sometimes they think they do, but they have to leave the NCEES budget code in, and some districts remove it in the staff UID, the payroll export that goes to staff UID CEDARS. And so NCEES doesn't know to inactivate the staff. So that's why that quick little thing the DAs can do, inactivate the staff to see if they stick and they're no longer showing up, is a good maybe first step. But yes, it's up to payroll HR to inactivate staff. If there's any question about that, just contact me later and we'll walk through. I have all steps and we can even get your HR on a group call if you want to,
That'd be awesome.
and walk through that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, the other thing under options here is evaluations. And this is a good area. So if we're only working with abbreviated plans today, go to options evaluations under my staff. And now I want to work with my abbreviated staff. I can open their plans with this link. I can open it with this link with the edit. I can print out their plan, or if I'm a DA, I can archive this plan if needed. So notice you can do whichever group you want to work with today. You don't always have to go to staff evaluations to get to the plans. All right, so that's my staff and roster staff management. Did want to look one more time. Let's go back to staff details, and we're going to look at assigning rights dynamically. We do have the Refresh Administrators webinar that walked through assigning staff, but we're going to look at the dynamic setting out here. So I'm going to Administration Staff Management. You can edit people's admin rights from this page. If they're already in the list, you can again open their profile here. You can add other people to be peer observers or evaluators or observers, things like that. So we're not going to walk through the adding administrator rights. If you don't see the administrator right, it's probably because you're a superintendent or an assistant superintendent and you have view-only access. District administrators can request that we give that back to you. The lead district administrator can request that. The form is on the home page of NCEES in the DA dispatch container. So let's look at admin rights and adding rights dynamically. So those assistant superintendents, they may help with reopening a lot. I've gotten that request a lot. So you're assigning rights to the person at the top of the window. You can see what rights they already have at the very top up here. And what do I mean when I say assigning rights dynamically? So we're going to be at this school. We are going to, if I can get my scroll bars to work, assign rights on, let's do the abbreviated plan. Now, I could give them, click one box and say, okay, you got access to one person. Maybe I want you to have view only or the reopen. Maybe I want you to help me reopen stuff. Or maybe I want everybody selected. I click the top box and that's probably for view only, assigning view only to all staff at this school on this plan type. Now, dynamically assigning, I leave number 3 blank. And what that does is assign everybody in this list plus any future hires I place on this plan type to the person at the top of this page so that I don't have to remember when I hire somebody later this year, I put them on an abbreviated plan. This person at the top of the page needs to have view-only access. That now, if I leave number 3 blank, dynamically, it's going to assign the future people and the current people to this staff. So then I just click add. And once I've done all my adding, then I click done. Do I need to repeat that for anybody? To dynamically add, leave number 3 blank. And then they have access to future hires and current hires on the plan type that you have selected. You're going to follow these steps for any assistant superintendents that need their reopen rights back too. If I have a staff that needs to access more than one school, so maybe this person is at a location, they're at location 0001, and now they need to see people at other schools, a district administrator or people with access to more than one school can select the other school and assign just that staff at the other school for the person at this school to evaluate or observe or be a peer observer. So that's one way to assign staff to somebody at a different location. All right, so that was dynamic add and adding people to staff at other locations. All right, we're doing good. We got about 10 minutes left. We're going to take a quick look at reporting. And that is under here. All right, I do need to go be the principal. Let me do that real quick. or it's going to take forever for reports to run. I'm hoping that one has some. One of these I tried earlier didn't have access, so let me try. There we go. Reporting. Out here are some quick reports. And once you've selected your module, there's a list of reports here. Well, it's kind of hard to read what all the reports are out here. There is a way to see all the reports, and that's in this sentence here. You're going to click the word here. And now here's a list that you can copy and paste out. It tells you what each report is out here and what it's used for. Come back to reporting. And we're doing quick reports. Let me get to my slide on reporting. So out here, the first report out here is your activity lock report. And remember I told you this is good to verify when those optional activities are complete because they don't always show the green check at the top of the containers. It will show on the staff dashboards, but not in the containers if the activity is optional. So that's your peer in the standard plans if somebody's done a peer in a standard plan, or if somebody has needed to do the additional observations, those are all optional. But it's hard to tell when they're complete. So this activity lock report will do that because you cannot lock an activity or container until the required activities are done and the signatures are in. So optional activities don't have any required activities, but they do have signatures. So you cannot lock anything until the signatures are in. So this is a good report to run for that. Now, why does it say current year and select year? Current year is going to run this year's reports. It's also schedulable. So there are help guides on the help page if you want to schedule your reports to run quarterly, weekly, at different dates during the year. All of that is possible. And there is a help guide to tell you how to set that up. If you want to run a past year report, then you're going to use the one that says select year, and it'll ask you to select a year. So maybe you want to run this for last year. You can do that. Just remember that any demographic fields, plan type fields, always run what is set in the current year. So if you have those kind of fields in the report, those will only print current year. I highly advise to run all reports that you're going to need during your current year. It has the best data and current data if you run it during the current year. So notice also these are evaluation summary reports, so you don't need those until the end of the year. All right, so here's some good reports to run off and on individuals belonging to more than one site in a district or more than one district. So this is where you can go clean up staff that are showing in your district. This is also helpful, like we looked at the roster list a while ago. It kind of prints who is in more than one district, which we do not want because then both district names are showing on that person's plan type, and potentially other staff could see their plan, potentially, not always, but it's good to have that cleaned up. Belonging to more than one site in a district, you do have some staff that are at more than one site in your district, but just verify that the names that show up on that list are correct. And if they are not, then get with your payroll HR to inactivate staff from the site that they should not be showing at. I do want to tell you, like if you're running the mentor relationship report, these quick reports only print on active plans. So if you've assigned all your mentors and you want to come out here and run this mentor relationship report to list out who you've assigned to who, the person you've assigned them to must have started their plan for their names to show up in this report. So make sure everybody has started their plans before you run the mentor report or the peer report. Observation start and end times is a good one to run. If you are working with PD, the office admin, and you are an office administrator, you must be a PD office administrator to run the transcript report. Most people are interested in orientation dates right now, so those will be good to run. So just go through that list and see what you need to run. I'm going to run this current year report just to show you how it's done. And then I think we have one more thing to show you before we wrap up for the day. It just tells me to click done. And it really doesn't usually take very long to run. It's going to be slow because I'm looking at it. Trying to remember. Oh, I know what it is. I probably didn't. Did I assume somebody's identity? We're going to let that run. I did assume somebody's identity. All right, well, it's usually much quicker than that. All right, the last thing that I wanted to show you, we're going to check on that report in just a minute. Oh, there it is. Okay, well, it didn't have anybody to pull, but you can see that it prints their name, their ID number, if they're active or not, the location they're at, the plan type that they're on, and then it's going to list each activity that's been locked, the date it's been locked, the person that locked it ID, and their name, and where the locker's location is. So that's a good report for you to run. And the last thing I wanted to show you is some of your districts have required courses that people need to take. And maybe you want a report that shows you who completed the course. So that is found under System Administration, Staff Dashboards. District administrators and site administrators can get to this location. You can load up a group by using one of these 4 areas. If you've created staff groups, you can use that, just searching different parameters of staff by demographics. Are they teacher classroom or VIF teachers or instructional techs? Or we're going to use browse staff by site. Just going to drill down in here. Hoping this one works. All right, so we have this training school 1, and then we're going to go over here. You can group by site if you have several schools selected over here, and then it will list the people by site and by name, and then it'll sort it out. Course completion reporting is right here. And I'm looking maybe to see who's taken the mentor course. I've assigned that to some staff. So the mentor course was course number 35. I think that may have been updated now. Notice I put parens around the course number, and that's so I can specifically get that number and not all the course numbers that have the number 35 in it. I can search for multiple courses, so maybe I'm looking for the first 4 ECATS courses or MTSS courses. I can put the first 4 numbers or as many numbers as I need to in there. They just need to be comma separated. If you just knew the title, you could put that in, but it does probably have to be exact. So the rest of these I usually leave blank. I like to use the course number, and then I'm looking for who's not registered, and who's completed. There's a detailed report with names on it, and there's a summary report. So I'll click details report, and I can look over to the right and see who's not registered, who's registered, and if anybody's complete. So I've got a lot of not registered, and I have 1 registered. Maybe I just want a summary overall with no names in it, so I'll click the summary report. Maybe I just need a report on how many people have actually started. The course that I've assigned, so here I'm showing the location, the course number, the title of the course, how many are not registered. 96% or 97% of my staff have not registered. 12 have registered, so that's 3.4%, and nobody has completed the course. I can download either one of those reports to a CSV file. We're going to pop back to the slides because we are at the end of today. So let me get to the slide. Whoops. Do know that all of these slides have videos on them for you to rewatch, and I keep clicking on it. Trying to get to the last slide. All right. It is 5 o'clock, so I want to give you the feedback form so you can go if you need to. I will stay on and stop the recording so you can ask additional questions if you want. So let me copy this. Oh, I'm going to copy it. Try it this way. And please do enter your feedback. And that's also the way for you to get your certificate. The last 2 questions at the end ask you if you want a certificate. So you'll fill that out. It will email it to you, and you do need to print it out and turn it into your district for approval. Just wanted to let you know that. You will earn 0.1 CEU, but it must be approved by your district. All right, it is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to stop recording, but I'm going to hang on here just a minute. Let me stop the recorder. Thank you guys for attending. Thank you for the questions. I hope you have a great evening.